Guys, and we are back, and today is a special emergency testimonial call with Mr. Don Smith, the Novation Boss. And it's been a year since we met him first time. If you guys watched somewhere, this video should be here. 300K in his second year wholesaling. A lot of that was closed with iSpeedToLead. It's exactly 1 year past. So we'd like to sit down with him and ask how the things are going, how he's adjusting, and what is a success. If you guys didn't know, there is a very high churn or quit rate among wholesalers in the industry. I think I saw a stat that it's close to 90% of people quit within the first 3 years. And we're really interested to see how Don made it. If you guys didn't know, he also had his full-time job in the past as the IT sales director. And we want to know how he's applying his knowledge. And of course, you guys want to ask why it's emergency. Why it's emergency? Because he actually managed to score the record-breaking AI closing coach number. And we got to talk about this too. Don, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Having a good start to the year. So far this year, I had 51 contracts this year so far. I've closed 12 deals, and my average deal size is $7,202. So, okay. And I also have, I didn't even add all that up. And then I also have 20,000. 18,000 in escrow right now to be closed as of right now. So I have another 3 deals, a 2,750 and a 3,000. So far this year, let's see what that adds up to. Yeah, 86,000 with another 18,000 close in the first 3 months. So going well, all through iSpeed.
Awesome. Boom. Let's go. Well, but let me ask you that, because I think everybody wants to know what changed. Anything changed? Team size, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I talked to you 3 years ago, I had 3 lead managers at the time. And coming into the end of last year, I had downsized a little bit. Things were a little bit slower at the end of last year, but I realized I was overpaying my VAs, right? And then I had them all going after the leads first, and then just passing me the good ones. And so I downsized that. Got back to me handling all the first line stuff. So anything within the first 14 days. I've now since rehired 2 VAs. One of them from the first 3, and then I hired another one, so I have 2 now, and I'm staying on all the new leads. I realized that I'm the best closer on my team, so I need to be the ones handling first. Now, if they haven't responded or they say follow up with me later, that's where my lead managers now come in. But I'm the one primarily. The new leads are the lifeblood of a company. So it's important for myself to be on the phone.
Gotcha. And let's talk about this. Actually, I didn't plan to talk about this, but I wanted to discuss that. So in the past, you had lead managers, right? So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So the conversation would look like they buy leads or something, and they would call first. And they would kind of pre-qualify them, and they're gonna say oh, okay, somebody is gonna call you, we're gonna call you back with the offer. Is that the case? Or did they actually transfer to you right away if there was a good call? How was that process?
Yeah. So we did do. I used to have. I had smartphone, then I left it. Now I came back. So I have smartphones. So they have live transfers on smartphone. They would live transfer it to me if I wasn't on the phone. Other than that, they would set up a time for them to be called. Or I had one guy who was a little bit more senior than the other 2. So if I was on the phone, I'd have him get on the phone, and while I was on the phone, I'd tell him what offer works. And then, the automations are in my CRM, so that I would come in and like essentially fill out the form in my CRM and then shoot out the contract, and then they would tell them, hey, the contract is in, and I train them how to walk through the contract. So if I wasn't on the phone, they would live transfer it for me. If it was a hot one, I'd say send it to that guy, and then I would send the contract and he would walk me through it.
What's the percentage of leads you would say were transfers versus the one that you actually needed to call back?
That's a good question. So actual good transfers was the ones that I actually needed to call back. So I mean, I'm always on the phone, to be honest. So most of the time, if they told me, hey, I need you to live transfer this one, I wouldn't be on the phone. So I would say it's probably the lower, probably like 15 to 20% they would actually get me, because I'm making a lot of calls as well, follow-ups, and trying to get deals across the finish line. So it's a smaller number. Most of the time, I'd say I would have to call them back.
Would you say that was probably the issue of this whole process, because you still needed to spend time trying to get a hold of the seller?
If I'm being really honest, I think the biggest problem is just me not being the first person talking to them on the phone. Because I'm like I said, I'm the best closer on my team. And at the end of the day, these lead managers, they tell you they're working just for you, but they got 2 other jobs, right? It's hard to manage them, but since then I've learned, I've gotten, actually you actually suggested a software to put them on so I could see what they're doing and making sure that they're actually, working. And then on top of that, being a lot more zoned in around my metrics and what I expect on a day-to-day. I really came into it like, I really want to be like the cool boss, but, when you have people in Egypt or the Philippines working for you, you really have to be really strict. So that's something I learned. I was overpaying them. I was putting them on the front line of defense, and I should be on the front line. And then, I think not being zoned in around my metrics enough and not having a software to, take pictures and screenshots and understand what they're doing, I think that hurt me.
Dude, you said a lot of things. You could go for a whole hour here, but the reason why I started this conversation, I see a lot of companies make this mistake with motivated sellers, like real leads, like PPL leads. Yeah. And again, guys, I'm not talking just about iSpeedToLead right now. I talk about ads. I'm talking about PPL, you name it. Everything what's not cold call. You cannot approach those leads. It just doesn't make sense. You cannot approach those leads in a way that, lead manager is first gonna screen again before it gets to you.
Yeah.
It's like it just doesn't make sense. You should train. Ideally, of course, if you can get acquisition manager, ideally probably local. Again, I don't want to discriminate. I know I have accent. Okay. So, but if you can get a good acquisition manager right away, you can train the person, he's gonna be there, he can close. That should be a go-to person. Or you should be at least training your lead managers to have this closers mentality. Okay, we are trying to close. We know the formula. We're gonna talk about this. Like you mentioned, that you're blending, RGB, it's your own style, a bunch of other things. So if you can make your all lead managers as closers, you can get more success. And I just had a discussion with one of our clients who actually I'll be direct, he actually struggled a little, and I wish I would speak to him a little bit sooner. But the issue was that he had lead managers, they would check on the lead. And guys, just for everybody who is watching, I know I'm rambling a little, but just think about mentality of the lead manager. What's his real motivation? His motivation is not being hit by you because you gave him shitty lead. So by default, he is not trying to close. He's trying to disqualify those leads as fast as possible because he's trying to get on to the next one. So you're probably losing a bunch of opportunities there. And at the end of the day, you go to them, okay, what will be the issue? Oh, it's lead, sir. Like, isn't like that, and that's normal. I'm not saying it's bad, but this is just how they are wired because you put them in position. Hey, you're just a lead manager. So you either need to really give them some closer mentality. Hey, we, as a team, we're trying to close. Let's get the things done. Or, you know, you need to find a smart ways of doing this. By the way, transferring, I think, is good as long as somebody can pick up the phone, because that's the second thing I heard just you mentioned. Yeah, I think if you need to call back to 75% of people by yourself, it's just another call. Just basically it's two people calling and you pay a salary for somebody.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make that much sense. And the third thing, guys, don't mention, I'm huge on that. And I know some people disagree with me. I saw actually a post recently. Somebody asked, would you rather have a VA for $800 or trained VA for $2,000? I was like, if they produce the same amount of volume and they're just lead managers, with AI right now, how I can leverage AI to train people, I take $800 any day, anytime. Sorry, I'm taking 2.5 VA, so I'm taking like what, 5 VAs versus 2 for 2,000 any day, anytime, because it's 2.5 volume, and I can train people. Okay, so the costs are huge, especially costs are huge if you want to hire people. You need to really keep this in mind. The thing about lead managers, I don't disagree that it should be some pre-qualification. For example, if you got a lead pack, that's why I like our packages. Biased, iSpeedToLead, I know, hello. But you can get big lead packs that you can pass to your lead managers to call and screen and find good ones. It's like thousands of leads you can get with our packages, and without even you spending your main money on exclusive leads that your best acquisition manager can call. Or let's say if you decide, hey, I just want to do it myself, this is the one that you can call by yourself. And yes, time tracker. I said it not one time. We discussed it with Don. Guys, there is a reason why there's a lot of corporations go back into office job after coronavirus hit, and everybody's like, oh, everybody goes back to the office. Why? Why do you think everybody goes to the office? Everybody wants to be like limited, or everybody really like, think about this. Corporate bosses thinking and sitting and thinking like, oh, we want everybody to have coffee in the office, but let us move people to Vegas and pay for their relocation. No, a lot of businesses fail because they didn't track their employees. Yeah. Because remote untracked is probably the least productive thing. I still think, my personal opinion, and I did both things. I worked in the office for 7 years. But for me, working remote with time tracker and without, and managing people with and without, I can definitely say, hey, remote with trackers, right? So it's activity and time trackers. And it's like number one, the most productive way you can actually manage things. You don't need to drive to the office. You can hire worldwide. You can track all the metrics. You can make all things happen. You save time. You're wide. You can save money because you can hire anywhere, and all those opportunities. Second will be office, like 100%. Second will be office. So because if you guys don't plan to track people, get the office, because you'll end up like chasing people. You're not sure if they're really doing something. And here's the thing. In sales, it's not that bad. Like in sales, you probably still had some CRM. You look like, okay, you made like this amount of calls and this person did this amount of calls. But if you hire position that don't have like any specific metrics, well, this is crazy. Like this is like double crazy. Like things like project based. You're like, okay, are we really doing something, or he's just making the shit up? Yeah. So it's like, this is just a lot of those things you need to keep in mind when you try to establish business, because in the end of the day, like your mentality initially was pretty good being a boss, because everybody wants to work less and earn more. And yeah, like on the long run, I think that's still will be the goal. Like you don't want to like call 12 hours a day every day. So even though I actually have a question for that. By the way, guys, stay tuned, because that will be an Easter egg here where you guys can make a comment for the question that I'm gonna ask, and you can, like, one of you can win $500. So just stay tuned for that. But no, I'm glad you shared that. Actually, I didn't plan to discuss that, but but what's next? Like, do you plan to get acquisition manager as well, or like how you feel about? Not yet. Or you think like let me?
Not yet. So I think I want to try to diversify, because then I went out. I've been all over the board. I started off cold calling, then I was strictly iSpeed, then I let go of my lead managers, but then I took the extra money, and then I'm like, let me dump more in marketing. So I was doing PPC campaigns, and then even doing some very, very targeted cold calling myself as well. What's the word? Multi, where it's like a code violation and foreclosure, right? So multiple motivations call list. So very, very niche. So there's not a lot on there, but you call them. So I was doing that. And then now I've just got shrunk back down to just iSpeed, because when it was just myself, I'm like, I can't even, you buy a package, plus you have PPC, plus you're trying to pay for the list. I'm like, I can't call these people. So I've gotten back down to iSpeed. So what next for me is I want to get back into PPC. Just do PPL, PPC. We're only doing those two lead sources. I do feel like I do need to grow my marketing channels. And I would say I would like to get one outbound channel, whether that's direct mail. I know that's very antiquated, but I'd like to have two inbounds, one outbound. And I'd like to grow to 3 and then grow my lead managers. But at the end of the day, I think as the more time I could spend on the phone and vetting these new sources, so that when I do replace myself, I'm like an expert around, the difference between the direct mail conversations and the PPL conversations and the PPC conversations. So eventually I do want to get an acquisitions manager. But I feel like that time is going to be a little bit further down the road. I've had a really good start to the year, and I think if I can just throw more gasoline on the fire, what I got going, so it'll help me the most.
But the reason why is because right now it's considered as a season. Would you agree? Like right now, this is where people like ramp up in real estate overall. So that's probably the coolest opportunity.
Yeah.
So let's go on next subject. By the way, I'll have some more questions on that, but let's go to the next subject, because it sounds like you do a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Let's go into that. So how many calls do you do right now? Like daily or weekly? What's your stats?
So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I walk the dog, come back, spend some personal time, hit the gym. I get back. By the time I get my entire morning routine done, it's about 9:30ish. I spend the first probably hour and a half of the day, so until about 11, dealing with title issues and following up with all my realtors for novations, making sure I've confirmed all of my meetings, whether it's lockbox setups, whether it's walkthroughs. So just confirming with all my sellers in the morning for today and tomorrow, right? So, hey, we have a walkthrough tomorrow. Just want to remind you, hey, we have a lockbox setup today at 10. Once I feel like I'm none of that is slipping through the cracks, right? So and title issues, right, as well. So dealing with title stuff, it's probably about 11 o'clock. And then I call from 11 to 2. Then I get up and I go out for like an hour walk or run at 2, come back at 3, and then I call from 3 to 8. So I am calling practically with 1 hour break from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. Every single day except Sunday. Sunday is the one day that I take off. So 6 days a week, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm calling on the phone.
You were live on Sunday.
I wasn't on live Sunday. I was on live. I got to come in on Sundays for iSpeed. I usually shout out Sophia. She'll hit me up on a Friday or a Saturday. She's like, hey, do you want to make calls on Sunday? I'm like, hey, why not? I love it. I honestly, I generally just like doing this. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like talking to people on the phone, is just something I actually just generally like to do. And especially with these competitions too, it makes it so much more fun. You know what I mean? When you're just doing it on a day-to-day, you have your ups and your downs, but I'm constantly checking the board, looking at school, right? And like it makes it a lot more fun when you have these competitions. So I appreciate you guys putting these on. But at the end of the day, you're making money when you're on the phone. If you're not on the phone, you're not making money. So my goal is to say, how much can I be on the phone from the goal, and the golden hours, guys, are really from like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Right? Like now you're getting callbacks from all the people, that might have been at work earlier in the day. So I mean, the golden hours is really, really, that's why I go out for my walk from 2 to 3. So then I come back. By the time I come back, I shower and get back. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And I just crush through the end of the day. Sometimes if I'm really feeling it, I'm having good calls, I'll even call people through 9. So at the end of the day, sorry, I think I glitched there. But at the end of the day, it's all about being on the phone and consistently talking to sellers. So I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't change, right? Whether you're RJ Bates and you're spending, $20,000 a month in marketing, or you're someone that's newer and you have $1,000 to spend, right? I actually feel like there's you can actually go a lot deeper, right? When you have less budget, you can talk to more people, more time, more rapport building, right? You remember, like if someone says, call me back in 3 weeks, you actually have the capacity to call them back in 3 weeks. So whether it's a lot of budget, a little bit of budget, it's all about consistently speaking to people on the phone and finding ways to stay on the phone with people. So at the end of the day, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., 6 days a week, I'm on the phone.
So do you remember how many calls do you do typically?
How many do I do? So
and I know it depends on how long is the conversations are, of course, but
my goal, right, from 11 a.m. and you have to remember that some of these, like when I sit down, right, and I go in my CRM, I always start with the leads I bought this morning, right, and then I work my way through, to the leads I bought yesterday, the day before that. My goal every single day is to get through 200 leads on my own. And that you have to remember, some people are, not selling anymore. Some people said follow up. So, I try to honestly talk to roughly, 80 to 100 people a day, roughly.
So, and the process, I imagine, would be you get leads, and I have a question about this too. But you get leads, you try to make the quick dials on all of them to see who you can close right away. Whoever you couldn't get a hold, you pass to your lead managers, and it goes into your CRM for some automatic follow-ups. Is that correct?
Exactly right. So, so as of right now, if you come into my CRM, you get 2 text messages a day for the first 14 days. And then I'm also calling and sending text messages on my personal cell. So when you come into my CRM, you're going to get a double dial. So 2 dials from me or a lead manager, 2 text messages, and a text message from my personal cell phone. So that's 3 text messages a day, 2 phone calls, and a voicemail for the first 14 days. Then after that, you get a text message every 3 days from day 15 to day 30. And then from 1 month, you get a text message once a week. And then from 2 months to 6 months, you get 2 text messages a month. And then my lead managers will, if they get to you, depending on where you're at in the system, you'll get calls from them periodically as well.
Awesome. Guys, here is a question to everybody. And I'm going to pin this comment as well from iSpeedToLead. But guys, let us know how many calls did you do the last week, or like the last day. Give us your stat. Okay, just curious, because I noticed there is a big problem. Not enough volume, just not enough. It's like it's not enough, and we quit too fast. It's like I think it's a crazy combination, honestly, if you ask me. Let me ask you that. This is more sales question. Do you feel like you need to get into the zone a little to make a bunch of calls, or you like already in the rhythm, always in like you have your schedule and kind of helps you to always be in the zone, like to make like 50, 100 calls? Because I know there are some people who probably watch us and they're new and they're like, I'm about to buy my first call. Okay, let me look at information and like let me check some notes and check some stats and check some stuff. I feel like you're the type of guy, okay, I get the leads and I'm going to ask you how you pick them. But you get your leads, and after that, you just go and straight call and just seeing who you can get a hold of and trying to make, try to create some volume there. Is that fair to say? Is that your mindset, or is it something different?
So number one, I think routine is gonna help you be able to consistently make calls, right? So the fact I wake up at the same time every day, I go outside with the dog, I come back, I have personal time, I hit the gym, I get my thing. So when you're in a routine, that's going to help you because your body loves routine, like it knows this is my time to work out, right? This is the time to make calls. So if one day you're watching Love is Blind at 2:00, and then the next day you want to make calls, it's going to mess you up, right? Because your body is a dopamine machine, right? So if you're not consistent and you're like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my friends today and then I'll make calls tomorrow, right? You're not going to be in that headspace where this is my time to do it every single day. So you have to set a schedule, whatever works for you, right? Some people might only want to call 4 hours a day. For me, I'm a volume guy, so I'd rather be on the phone all day, every single day. So for me, the fact that I have the routine, it helps me with my mindset. But most importantly, you're absolutely right? Get the leads, sit down in your chair, right? And you dial them one by one all the way down, right? If they didn't pick up and then you don't judge a lead either. Oh, they didn't pick up the first 5 times, so I'm not going to call them this time. Or, whatever people do to prejudge leads, don't do it, right? Just, I mean, really, when I get into my chair and I'm going down the list, it's at the end of the day, it's just a lead to me, right? Like it's not, sometimes you're like, oh, you get more excited because it's one area versus another area. We all have that, right? I'd love to call only leads in Ohio and Texas all the time, right? But we do deals in Florida and St. Louis and Alabama, right? We do deals there too, right? So it's like, don't prejudge a lead. You're trying to find motivation at the end of the day. So most of the time I get into a lead, I don't even check the address of where it is until after I've actually made the call. So I go to the next lead, I dial that number, and then while it's ringing, then I look at, oh, this one's in Texas, this one's in Ohio, this one's in Missouri, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to get on the phone with somebody and see if I can help them.
And the reason, guys, why I wanted to ask about routine and 2 things. First of all, Don is actually the guy who is not only showing up on Sunday, he managed to get a deal on Christmas Day. So we actually got a contract and got paid on that. And I don't think we got any angry seller. We call on Christmas Day. We didn't get anybody, any single person like shouting at us, screaming at us, or anything like that. You can guys find this live. It's like Spin and Wheel or something and Christmas Day edition. But like I remember you called and they said, it's Christmas, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm calling from Santa and we have a cash offer for you. And how much do you want to get for property?
Yeah.
And it's a normal, regular conversation. So for those of you who are watching and like, oh, this guy is full-time, I can never make it, all this type of stuff. No, guys, it's about you finding dedicated time to actually making actual calls. Again, iSpeedToLead, not iSpeedToLead, whatever. But if you are not dedicating ideally ahead of the week. Let's imagine you have a bunch of circumstances. You cannot plan out like for the months, right? But plan at least ahead, like a week. Just know that on Monday, I'm going to sit from this hour to this hour, and I'm actually going to make dials. Not going to sit on watch some video, some live with somebody, and I'm going to just stare and cheer, all that type of stuff. No, literally, I'm going to sit down this time. This is where I'm going to pull the list or something, or I'm going to get some iSpeedToLead leads because I know, like, end of the day, they send some coupons, or a bunch of other things. But this is a time where I'm going to do it. And again, we showed not one time. You can call anytime. You can find anytime. Doesn't matter what's your job, circumstances. It's fine. It's fine. Walk around them. I'm not saying you need to quit your job, leave your family, and everything should be miserable. But you can find time to make dials as long as you can do it consistently and dedicated, and you actually produce in the amount of time. Because this is important what Don just said. I hope everybody heard this too. Because if you spend too much time on just prejudging lead, look information, let me pre-comp, blah, 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 there is still pickup rate. Especially if you buy not exclusive leads that just came in, your pickup rate will be probably around 30% first dial. Maybe even a little bit less. Whatever. So you have a chance, 1 out of 5 only to have a conversation, but you're spending so much time on looking at every lead and checking address, looking at Zillow, where is that? What is that about? Trying to comp maybe, or whatever stuff you're trying to do. So in the end of the day, it's you guys making dials, trying to really get a hold of people and having more conversation in a period of time. If you're not doing this, you're not going to be successful. You should stop pretending that you're an investor. If you just like to be a part of some group and club, it's fine. But again, most of you, most people that I ask, they tell I'm in real estate because I want to get rich. In really simple terms, right? I want to get financial freedom, help out somebody. But in the end of the day, it's about finances. It's all about money, okay? So if your goal is to make money in this industry, everything starts with the actual effort. Just simple as that. And again, Don is a perfect example, talking about routine, system, right? Somebody just asked on the live with Ashley. She was like, oh, I got this amount of leads. How many leads do I really need to have to make sure I follow up on all of them? Well, here is Don sharing his system. He's calling all leads fast. They go into the campaign, and he's getting a lead manager, not overpaying for the lead manager, right? Who's keep following up and transferring to him. There's good conversation. And I imagine Don is not buying probably every day. So he's not buying every day, bunch of 200 leads or something. So he goes back on some days and just calls whatever wasn't called, didn't pick up. He goes back and dials those. And he sends contracts and he sends follow-ups and a bunch of those cool things. Let's go quickly into this subject because we have Novation Boss title. By the way, when did you come up with that?
I didn't. You guys did.
Yeah, I'll take the credit.
That's so right. You guys did.
First time we call him Novation Boss. So let's talk about this exit strategies. I know you tested different things. I think you mentioned. I don't think you mentioned it during our live. You mentioned it during our first meet. I think you mentioned during one of the lives that you try to do only novations, and after that, I heard you do cash first, novations later. So what's the strategy right now? How do you go after that?
So I'm still heavily wholesale. I mean, it goes in waves, right? At the end of the day, I was heavy wholesale, then I went heavy novations, and then the thing that I realized is every deal is different. You know what I mean? It comes down to condition of the property, and even that I'm finding less matters, right? If you can put it up as is. If you can put it as is, and it's a investor price, you can do a novation on an off market as well. I typically do like to do them on the nicer houses though, because if you have an off market property and you hand someone a novation contract, you have 30 other investors doing a wholesale contract saying I can close in 7 to 10 days, right? So telling them you need 60 and you're going to put it on the market, they're going to be like, well, I'm talking to these other investors and they don't have to do any of that. So why are you different? So I don't like to do that as much. I have done it. I actually just closed a deal in Mansfield, Ohio. That was an off-market property. So there's that. piece, it really comes down to price. I mean, it really just comes down to that, right? Most of the time, a novation is going to be somebody who has a nicer house and isn't going to give you 50, 60% off, you know? So at the end of the day, it really is just about actually speaking to the seller and understanding, what they want out of the property, right? And it really comes down to two buckets. Either you want speed, right? And if you want speed, I'm going to give you the wholesale contract, or you want price. If you want price, then that's where I switch the lever and I'm like, hey, if you want that price, I need 60 days. But if you want to close faster, right, it needs to be at a lower price. So that's kind of the lever that I have in the conversation. I find ARV, I offer them 50%. If they say no, I can say, hey, I can come up, but I need 60 days. And then they don't ask you, well, why do you need 60 days? Well, hey, I can close faster if you want. It just has to be a lower price, 50%. I can do that all day. But if you want the 60, if you want the higher price, I then have to try to do something a little bit more creative, which is, the novation route. So people, but that's why it's important to walk them down the cash path first, right? If you just try to match them at their price, because I did this when I first started doing novations, right? They say they want something close to retail. I just do a regular, here's what I think I could list it for, but times 0.925 minus $30,000. And they were coming back high, the deals were coming back high, and I would always have to then go back and then do a reduction. But if you bring them down the cash path, and my favorite deals, I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about it. My favorite deals is a failed wholesale that I turned into a novation, because you have them at the wholesale price, and then you put it on the market. And I'm 100% on those. I'm 100% on converting a wholesale, and that's where the lever kind of switched. Like last year in January, I think it was Mansfield, Ohio. Mansfield, Ohio. I had a wholesale deal, and they came in and everybody was offering under immediately. And the guy said, listen, I'm just trying to pay this house off. I'm not even trying to make any money. It wasn't even his house, actually. It was like a family member who was in jail or something, and he was he had power of attorney, and he's like, listen, we just want to liquidate it for no money. And he's like, all the deals I've been getting have been under what the mortgage is. So I offered him the mortgage deal, which seemed like a good deal. I had two investors go right away. They immediately gave me like 50K offers. And I'm like, this could be a novation. And I, called my realtor in Ohio. He does a great job. He came in and he's like, yep, I can list it for whatever you want. I take 3%, put it on the market. The first person to go, I had an offer in like 2 or 3 days. And I made like $18,000 on that deal. It was, and that's where the light bulb went off. Like, oh, okay, I really do have to push these people to near cash price. And then from there, and now I even when I run my numbers, if I say I can sell it for 300, I'm still running my number off of, 290, 285 in case I have to drop the price on the market. And then I'm still, putting $40,000 in spread in case after the inspection period they want to come back and negotiate. So I'm still running it way more conservative as well. So it really does fit. It really, to answer your question, you have to understand the pain. Is it speed or is it price? And once you put them in the lever and you get them to tell you, hey, I really want speed or I really want price, that's when that's the lever that puts you in a spot where you can turn them from a wholesale conversation into a novation conversation.
I liked how Dylan Wright, actually on one of our iSpeed Arena lives, he told to the seller, "Sir, it should be either your terms, my price, or my terms, your price."
Yeah.
As simple as that. And this is, guys, by the way, here's a quick experience note from my side. We had investors. This is for guys maybe who are watching and have operations. The important thing that Don mentioned, that you always want to squeeze them first for a cash price, for the cash offer, even if you know that you're going to offer innovations. And this is one of the big issues, by the way, I saw from like one team reported this. They're out of Seattle, and they mentioned they have a big team. They had acquisition people, they had lead managers, but most of those are closers. And we asked them, what's your biggest challenge right now? They said that our closers are go to innovation route too fast. And yes, this is what Don just mentioned. Well, one of the advice that I gave, maybe if you really cannot train them to follow script, that's why I want to follow scripts and have the process in place, or like even follow some AI closer coach thing. We're gonna talk about this, but like one of the easiest suggestions, especially if you have a bunch of money process works, you can have one person who is doing just cash, and he transfers to the guy with innovations if there is opportunity. But in the end of the day, you guys gotta first go down as much as possible. Doesn't matter which strategy you use, RG Bates way, whatever, until you go into innovations. And just a quick note, just let's on Novations, if you guys not familiar, you can check our video. You can go to our school community. By the way, Don, I think, had at least 4 Novation classes inside of our school community, but his innovations are more on the simpler side. He's not doing concierge service and white glove thing.
Equity protection program.
Triple call strategy. And again, those are different strategies, but so far we're bringing the guy who actually closing deals, actually making money, and it works. Let me ask you that. This just will be one question. Why do you think your way is better than this other way? Is it?
So I mean, I think they all work, right? So I don't want to say that one is better than the other, and especially since I've been on Eric Brewer's trainings, through some of the gurus or gurus
Rich
that
Wonders.
I've done. And Rich Wonders, he was the first person that I've ever introduced us. I was in a guru's, I paid him like whatever it was. I think it was like $5,000 to be in his community to start, and they brought Rich Wonders in to chat, and I think they all work, right? At the end of the day, I really like Rich's approach. It's just that for me, you have to really learn their words, right? Because it only really works for them if you actually have the script in front of you. You spend hours, trying to do the Novation pitch, and I just felt like it was so wordy and, for me, complicated, right? And I always find that at the end of the day, these sellers, right, they want a certain price, right? So let's solve a problem. Let's get to the price. And at the end of the day, we focus on the price. The terms are just the terms, right? So as long as you disclose that you're not the seller, as long as you disclose that it's going on the market, right, we don't need to focus on that. And I find that when you have this equity protection program, and I'm not bashing it, right? I learned how to do innovations by, being on lives where Eric Brewer was talking, the godfather of it, and Rich Wonders. I learned practically everything I know about Novations to experience and Rich Wonders, so I'm not bashing them at all. They have really great ways of positioning it, but I just find that when you put all these programs, you're putting more emphasis on the terms than you are on the price, right? So let's get you excited about the price, right? And especially on innovation, you're going to be offering more than what all the other wholesalers are, right? So they get really excited about the price. don't confuse your seller by saying I have an equity protection program or I have this concierge service, and you know it's then and then trying to sell up front. Hey, I'm going to put it on the market. I'm going to bring all my investors, and they're going to be like, well, I can just get a realtor, right? Like, why don't I just hire a realtor and do it myself, right? At the end of the day, what I'm pitching is, I'm going to get you your price. It's going to be fast, right? And I'm going to handle everything. That is your value, right? You don't have to call the realtor. You don't have to hire them. You don't have to do anything. I sign now and I sign at closing, right? So sell the value. I'm able to offer you more than everyone else. If you want to go with them, then go with them. They're less. But if you want to go with us, this is our process. It takes 60 days. It doesn't take 15 to 30, right? It does take 60 days. And at the end of the day, we do have to put it on the market. But if you come out the gate telling people, oh, I'm going to put it on the market, and you try to sound like this really cool investor, right? You're just going to confuse them. You're going to scare them, and they're just going to be like, no, I'm actually going to just, everyone knows a realtor, right? Everyone's cousin is a realtor. That person at their church is a realtor. Someone at their job is a realtor. Everyone knows a realtor, right? So they're going to then go to that. But I get them into the contract, right? We focus on the price. We talk about the terms, and then it's just one little paragraph. Hey, we're getting funded through I like to say hedge fund, because I do send the deals to a hedge fund. Do they always buy it? No. But hey, we're going to get funded through a hedge fund or a third party, right? We're going to quickly close up with you, give you your cash in 60 days. Our company will come in and we'll handle all of the things that come up in the inspections. You don't have to come out of pocket. So what you get is net to you. That's it. That's it. Keep it simple. And if you keep it simple, you're not going to scare your seller.
And I think that's what I think the main subject of our whole conversation should be today. Don't overthink.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere. Like if you think about it, and I see those comments in the chat about what if he has that? I mean, if he has, you deal with that. I mean, what if he has that? And I've seen it even in sales process in our company. I'm telling you, sometimes you want to let's prevent everything that can pop. But by you saying this, you can actually plant a seed in their brain too. Like, you said, whoa, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you said it. Actually, I can do it this way. I can actually get a realtor myself or something. It's like, but guys, you cannot just overthink this. And sometimes this is where the confidence plays. You gotta just execute. Yes, we're gonna do the
biggest thing. That is actually, I'm glad that you said that. If you're worried about it, they'll be worried about it.
100%. Everything.
My first novation, I was nervous as hell. Right, I looked at the contract like 6 times. I'm like, well, what do I say in the novation agreement? And then so nervous about the power of attorney, right? I'm like, oh my God, this says power of attorney. Guys, you're selling to Americans. Americans don't like to read. Americans don't like to read anything. They want the bulletproofs. It's like focus on the price. Americans don't want to read anything, right? Like, just explain to them, keep it high level, right? And you'll be fine and be very confident about it. I remember I went into that novation contract and I started reading it line by line. And then 3 lines in, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now, right? I'm like, you know what I need to do? Just give her the high level. And what was the most important parts? It's 2 pages, right? My novation contract is 2 pages. I tell them one thing. Hey, there's going to be an inspection. All that this says is that, anything that comes up in the inspection, our company will take care of it. So you don't have to come out of pocket for anything. 2 pages. And I just go right through the 2 pages. And I go down the last one. I'm like, all this says is that there's a lot of documents that need to get signed to get done to closing. I don't want to be calling you every day. And if these get messed up, it can actually delay things. This allows us to be able to handle everything on our end and get you to the closing table as quickly as possible and get you your $60,000 as quickly as possible so that we can get you to the closing table, and then our company can come in and handle whatever's in the inspection after we get you out of the way, right? Once again, I tell them what's in the document, but what do I always go back to? How much money they're getting, right? It's like people don't want to read line by line through a contract. People don't want to pay money to send it to an attorney. The best they'll do is send it to a friend or a realtor that they know. Most of the time, they just want the high level. So disclose where you need to disclose, but always come back around to, hey, you're getting this price and it's more than what the other wholesalers are offering you.
Right. Well, and I have this question because you mentioned that, and I wanted to ask. You mentioned that sometimes for cash, like, to be really direct, isn't most cash deals are still really good deals for novations? Because I feel like there is just probably up to maybe 15% of cases where the seller really got to have cash in the next 7 days or something. Majority of those, even if those are like not like great houses, all that type of stuff, and I understand there are some limitations of what you can list and get some interest from buyers and all that type of stuff, but isn't it still Novations is probably the best way to get the most money for the seller, and most of them probably can wait 60 days?
That's a really great question. So the problem is not, you're absolutely right, right? If I could do a novation on every single property, I would, right? You ever look at Novation King on Instagram? This guy's just living his life, and all the realtors are out there selling all his property. I love when he posts that. He's like, it's Sunday, all my, where it's like, I have a dispo person on my team, right? And it's like, and I gotta, it's like, oh, I gotta set up the walkthrough with the seller, and I gotta, deal with all the title issues, and I gotta do price negotiations, and he's just living his best life. All of his realtors are just handling everything for him. And that's one thing I really love too, is when you do a novation, if you have a good realtor, they're gonna also do all the closing stuff for you too, because they're used to it. Right. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The problem is the competition, right? If I try to do a novation on a property that's a cash price, right? Like it's a slam dunk cash price, good area. There's 20 other investors who are calling right after me saying, why do they need 60 days? It's like, I can do this in 7 to 10 days, and you can have your money in 7 to 10 days.
But wouldn't they give less money to them?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the deal. I think 90% of the deals in Novation, you do offer higher. When you start getting into some of those properties where it needs so much work, right? Where a person with a traditional loan who will pay more, which will allow you to have your offer be higher, that's where it gets tricky, right? So
I got it. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay, I got it. Well, last question. Let's talk about iSpeedToLead. Couple of comments. You mentioned you buy a lot of leads. What changed? And I know we did a lot of things, added some things. How do you pick leads? I know a lot of people want to ask that. Well, some people even asked that yesterday. Do you have any preferences, filters? What do you read? How do you pick them?
So I say, so when I did my first call against Travis Wells, he did a really good job picking leads. So, after that call, I got my ass kicked. I'm not gonna lie, I got my ass kicked that day. I had a lot to learn. But I went back and I just redid all my filters. So I probably have the most counties saved in my searches out of anyone on the app. I would actually love to see a stat on that. I don't think there's anybody that has more counties saved. The thing that you guys made a switch and I broke it, right? The saved search wouldn't even populate because I had so many saved in there. But I've switched to, I don't do tenant occupied properties anymore. I do vacant mostly. Like I'm looking for selling ASAP. I went way over on the other side So after the travesty, I went way over on the other side. I only pick A leads, B leads, right? I don't even do B minus, right? It has to be an A minus, B plus, or a B. And I have filters that are only vacant and selling ASAP. And then I have another filter with all the counties where it's owner occupied and vacant, selling ASAP and 1 month. I don't look at anything over a month because I didn't realize there's still some good deals in the month, right? It doesn't have to just be ASAP, but I'm looking for vacant and I'm looking for wants to sell immediately. And then I have special filters for emergency reasons. I have a filter just for that. I'm buying all the emergency reasons, no matter what, um, because I feel like those are the best leads, to be honest. So,
Okay.
I mean, outside of that, it's just about it truly is about understanding their motivation and whether I can give them a novation or a wholesale, depending on their price. But if you have a vacant property that wants to sell ASAP, that's A or B, that's the best lead. I think emergency reasons is the only motivation where I'm like, I think that that's actually hands down better than everything else. Outside of that, like even 1 month lead, someone wants to sell in a month, right? I can give them now. I'm like, I see that, I'm like, oh, this is great. All right, now I can go into this thinking about innovation, right? Because they want to sell in a month. What's another month on top of that, right? I don't care if it's cosmetic, you know, because I can do innovation on that, right? Remodel is 50-50 depending on how bad it is. And I actually have to say though, I used to get really, really excited about the full gut. Needs a full gut. But I actually realized full gut can actually be too much in the opposite direction as well, right? I hate deals down to the studs, right? If you have no walls in your property and you're all the way down to the studs, right? That usually means that something bad either the property's been uninhabitable for a really long time, or usually there was an issue. There was an electrical issue, there was a plumbing issue, and you had to pull all the walls down to see what was going on. And then now you're trying to sell a problem. It's like buying, a used car from a crappy car place, right? That's like, doesn't matter your credit, no credit, bad credit, right? Come in and buy this car, right? You drive it off the lot, the engine's gonna fall out, right? So it's like, so I actually stay closer to remodel. I like to remodel and cosmetics more, to be honest. I like if I see full gut, I now read the notes to see how bad it is. If it's fire damage, if it's down to this, it doesn't have any walls down to the studs, I'm not even going to buy that lead because the the price is going to have to be so low. Like when I say so low, like you need to get it 20% of ARV and you have to move it at 30% ARV. I actually went back one time and looked at all my full guts to see what percentage we actually at. You have to be selling it to the buyer at 30%, at a 70% discount. And you have to get it at an 80% discount for it to make sense. So I like remodel, I like vacant, I like ASAP, and then it's just about what county you like. I mean, me, I don't even I have my really, really zoned in with all my counties, and then I have the opposite where it's like, show me everything with this. So I think it really comes down to what's your preference, right? I would have a very zoned in to your areas look. Then I would have a everything look and just focus on A, B and vacant ASAP to 1 month.
Okay. Well, that's great. And you mentioned you read the notes too. You do always read the summaries or only for like full guts?
I don't always read the summary, to be honest. I'm more of a, honestly, there's something about just clicking and buying a lead that just feels good.
No,
Right?
that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
So I don't always read it. I mean, honestly, there's some areas where I don't give a I don't care where it is. Like if it's in Texas, if it's in Ohio, one of my areas, I'm probably going to buy it because I know I have really good buyers over there and really good realtors. Georgia is another one, right? I have really good realtors, really good buyers, right? So it's like Alabama as well, really good realtors, really good buyers. So if they're in certain areas, I just want to talk to everyone in that area, really. I do honestly. I look more at how many people bought it than I do at the AI summary almost. Like if nobody bought it, I'll read the summary. But if two or three people bought it already, I'm buying it. I'm just like, so this has to be a good deal. These other people are going after it. I'm buying it if it's two or three. But if it's zero, I'm like, oh, maybe there's something here. But then those zeros, sometimes I just get on there so early in the morning. When I come back from walking my dog and I'm doing my personal time, and I always look at leads. You know, um, I always look at leads at that time, first thing in the morning, and I'm like, no one bought this lead. There's some leads I'm like, I can't believe no one has bought this yet. I cannot believe no one's bought. I'm like, I'm about to call them. I mean, if it's a really good lead, I've called people at 6:30 in the morning before, just because I know they're gonna be like, who has the audacity to call me at 6:30? And they might get mad if they even pick up, but I want to be the first person that when they pick up their phone when they wake up, they're like, who is this person calling me? And then not only that, you get like, you've gotten two text messages as well from me as well. So
this is great. And guys, just quick note: deal predictor. This is what AB leads Don is talking about. I think there will be a video in the end where you can see my full onboarding plan. And I would say read the summary, especially if you don't have big budgets. If you don't have big budgets, read quickly. Okay, like don't like overthink. Like we mentioned today, it's huge. It's important not to overthink and go and do things, but you gotta find what works for you. But guys, so I want to point out, and this will be the last thing before we go into a closing coach, and I'll let you go because I know it's 1 hour already. But so how many total areas where did you start? Where are you based, and in which markets you work right now?
where did I start?
Yeah. When you just started wholesaling, which markets did you target, and where are you based actually right now, and how did you expand?
So, my fiance lives in Massachusetts. So I'm in Massachusetts right now, but I live in Florida in the Orlando area. So you'll see my background change. Sometimes I'm in my office. When I'm in my office, I'm in Orlando. When you see the door in the background, I'm with my fiance's house. So right now I'm at my fiance's house. When I started just in Florida because I was like, I want to be able to go out and see a property if I need to, right? Biggest waste of time. I actually drove. I've only been to one property ever. Biggest waste of time. I'll actually tell you this story. This was my second deal I got under contract, and it was from a cold call lead, and it was a foreclosure lead. And I went out there because my mentor at the time said that you want to have a property specialist, so someone on your behalf when you're sending a buyer to go see a house, you want to have someone there just to make sure they don't talk to the seller and steal your deal, right? So I couldn't find anyone on short notice. So I drove out to this property. We walked it. We came back. And what happened? I got a good offer, and then I had to do a price reduction to get the offer done. I tried to do the price reduction, and the seller didn't accept it. So I canceled the deal. Then I told the buyer that I canceled with him and that I couldn't do the. So then the buyer tried to go around me and would stop picking up my phone calls. And then, man, what ended up happening? I think something happened because the buyer went around me. Something happened. They fell out. He calls me back to try to get the deal. And oh my God, this was a crazy deal. So the buyer was, I was wholesaling it through Keegley. They found me two buyers, actually. They had a buyer on another deal, buyer on that deal. And I got in so much drama with them and on the other deal, they dropped out of this deal, right? And I found the buyer's information because the title company sent it to me. And I found out that I was making 20 on this deal. The buyer that they had, they were making 50. So they dropped out. I'm like thinking I'm going to make $70,000 off a wholesale deal. The deal went into foreclosure before I can get everything done. I lost $70,000 on a wholesale deal because of that. But so to answer your question, so then after I did my first deal, so which was my first deal ever from a cold call, I got $35,000 off that deal. I switched to Facebook marketing, and I hired a company to do Facebook leads, and I typed in, this was before ChatGPT, I guess. I typed into the thing the top places to wholesale, and then I went into list source and I looked at all the counties that were the top places in all the top places, right? So I got like 20 different states of the top places to wholesale. I then found all the top counties through list source by looking at LLC bought properties. So I did my Facebook campaigns. I stopped doing that, came to iSpeed. I plugged in all of those places. And since then, I have tons of places in there, but my bread and butter is going to be Ohio, Texas, Georgia, Alabama. Those are like my main places I go. And then I also will do some deals in Wisconsin, Indiana, and Michigan as like secondary markets. So I've successfully closed deals in all. Actually, I've never closed a deal in Michigan yet. I've came close a couple times, but I've closed deals in Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Texas, Georgia, Florida. But my workhorses, like I said, are Texas, Ohio, Alabama, and Georgia. That's like where I'm buying the most leads. And then outside of that, I'm looking really for motivation.
What about counties? Are those like major counties? Those are like major metros, so you're kind of wide there.
So what about what? Sorry.
Are you wide in those states? Like how many, like do you do like Texas, in Texas, do you do like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, or you go wider, or you do take everything what's inside? Like Georgia, are you doing just Fulton, couple of counties, so you do like half state or like
yeah, metro. So Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Montgomery County got some deals too. So Conroe, Corpus Christi, Alabama's the obvious one. Montgomery, Birmingham. I have if you have any deals in Georgia that's surrounding Atlanta, I have a buyer there that pays cash, 10K EMD, blank check. So if you have any deals around the Georgia area, they don't like Atlanta. They just like everywhere within an hour outside of Atlanta. So I have that, and I have an amazing realtor. I've made over 60,000 with her. She prices things really well, so that works. That we're there in Georgia, and then Ohio. No surprises: Cleveland, Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati. I have a really good realtor out there. He prices things very, very well. I mean, I've done so many novations in Ohio. I'll give out the secret sauce. I love novations in Ohio. That's probably my second favorite. I love novations in Georgia, but I don't get as many there. But the houses are like in affordable prices, right? Like 150,000, 100,000, right? You can put something on a market for 100,000. That you get so many people looking to buy. So, love Ohio Novations, love my Georgia Novations, and then and and yeah, so yeah, and then where else did I say? Alabama, Ohio, Georgia,
Texas.
Texas. Those are my workhorses. So that's where I have the most deals. And then, I'm finding Wisconsin is a good little pocket. Indiana is a good little pocket. I've done multiple deals there, and but those are more so like one offs. But I'm really, that's the beauty about iSpeed is that I just keep finding markets. Once you think you're set, all of a sudden Indiana you start closing deals. Then all of a sudden Wisconsin, I'm building my relationships there. So I think if you have a good realtor and all you need is one good realtor and one really good buyer in every area, and you can do a lot with that. You can do a lot. And I have it, and I think that's the one thing I have a dispo person that I just pay on a per deal basis, and she does a really good job. She does a really good job. That's really helped me to be able to focus completely on. Because honestly, I don't know why I don't talk about my dispo person more, right? Because I talk about my lead managers all the time, but my dispo person has been with me since my second deal, so she's been with me for years, and honestly, she's been probably the secret sauce because I don't have to do the dispoing. Yeah, that takes a lot of time. It's a full job in itself, So she has a full-time job, so she doesn't need me to pay her salary, and she does this. She works part-time, with her job, and then she remote. So remote, she has a whole second job they don't know about. Going back to if unmonitored work from
Businesses.
yeah.
What's the percentage you pay her? Just curious.
I pay her 15%.
So it's okay. Awesome. Well, let's
15% on everything. So even on novations, even though she didn't find the buyer, because a lot of deals you get by, they cancel title issues, put a lot of work in the deal. So, for every deal that cancels, I want to still get paid off some deals that she didn't have to do anything.
okay. No, that's sounds fair and good on you. And the reason why I brought you today, let's talk about this AI iSpeed madness thing. When you started, did you have some strategy in place that you're gonna win? I know you submitted some calls in closers ball, but I feel like iSpeed madness where you kind of put people against each other. Some people get more competitive. Any specific thought process when you just started? And I know you have some strategy right now. I want to talk about this as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, everyone should be doing this, right? It's like I downloaded. I actually I asked Yuri for the sheet of how it was scored, right? And then they posted it. I downloaded it. I opened it up, and then I said, okay. I looked at everything it was coaching, and I said, okay, what areas am I not touching here, right? So, so I put together basically, I started off just having it open and just going line by line and just asking questions line by line to see if I can get better scoring. And I ended up doing pretty good the first round. I think I got like a 340 something on the first round. But then I heard Caesar. I did a call, I think, on a Sunday, and Caesar did a call on a Saturday. And while I was out walking at 2:00, I was like, let me listen in. So I got in, I was listening, and let me tell you, man, Caesar, man, I have a lot of respect for Caesar and how he does it. He's so calm, he's so calculated, but he has so many different like open-ended questions that he uses. And let me tell you, this lady he had on the phone, and it was a call where she's like, I know about wholesalers. She did a lot of things. Are you a wholesaler? And how he just maneuvered around, and he got in every bit of motivation on the call, and he disclosed how he framed the disclosing that he was a wholesaler. um I learned a lot from that call. I also learned something else from him on a previous call. So I mean, I could say that my style is really like RJ Bates. Then I incorporated some things from Caesar, and even shout out Jillian during the closers ball. We were making a lot of calls, and I was on a live with Jillian actually, and she had her price calculator out, and I really liked how she was, even though she was newer, she was really walking through sellers how she arrived at a number, her number. And then I was like, I was really impressed by that. I even gave her a shout out on the call, like, hey, I know you're new, but you know, I really like how you help walk the seller to why your number is, and that's actually one of the that's one of the things you get scored on the AI call summary, right? Is your maximum allowable offer explanation. So, so doing the RJ Bates opener, using Caesar like a good chunk of the beginning of my call is just using what Caesar did, and then it's just about getting the what you call the condition of the property. So I do have a thing that I use for getting the condition, and then kind of following how doing my own style. But then the Jillian method, I guess I would say, is walking them through how I got to the offer, and it's been working. So just want to, obviously, RJ Bates, big shout out to him. And then big shout out to Caesar. I definitely took a lot from him. And then Jillian, how she was explaining her offers to people, and I kind of put them all together. And and then on top of that, it's like I know in my head what call I got that got me my score, right? When you get off the phone and it's a good call. So when you guys posted, hey, you got an 8 on this call, I'm like, okay, I know what I did there, right? And then when you posted, I'll look at, where I was missing points, where I got points. So I'm like, okay, I got a lot of points there, so I can keep that the same, but let me try this here. Let me pull from Caesar. Let me pull from Jillian. Let me pull from, RJ Bates, right? And switch it up. And then I switch up that part of the call. And then when I get the score back, I'm like, okay, I see that I'm missing points here, right? So let me switch it up. And it's honestly, it's been an iterative process, but honestly, it's really helped me. I think my calls have actually gotten really a lot better, because, um, you know, once again, taking Caesar's approach on some stuff helped me really flesh out some of the pain and the motivation, which giving me more scores in the top. And then that maximum allowable offer, how I've been presenting it. Um, I don't use a calculator like Jillian, but how I walk them through, step by step, how I get to my offer. That's been two of the biggest changes that I've made. So between the motivation and explaining my offer more. Before I would just be like, yeah, well, I'd be at here, you know, and then a lot of these sellers, they think investors are there to lowball. Investors are here to just rip me off. But me explaining my offer and walking them through how I got it and making that more of a conversation rather than here's my number. That's been, I think, those two changes in the beginning of the call and how I present my offer. I've been able to get deeper discounts, a lot more people dropping themselves. So when they tell me they're at the beginning of the call how much they want, them dropping by the end of the call. it's been really, really helpful. And honestly, I wish I had done it. I'd done it sooner, because I mean, at the beginning I was like, when AI can close a deal on itself, lock up a contract, then that's when I'll care about AI. But then on this, I'm so competitive. I'm like, I didn't place. I got kicked. I got my ass kicked against Travis. I didn't place in the closer ball, and I'm like, I was feeling a way about it. I was kind of angry about it, and I'm like, I want to place. So I was like, let's take a step back. Let's see how the AI is judging it, and there's probably some room for you to improve. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? It doesn't matter, you know, if you've been doing this for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Life is all about continually learning, right, and changing your approach. And for me, I knew deep down that there's definitely another evolution, right? There's the people who are super wordy and want to spend an hour on a call every day, and that wasn't me, right? I wanted to talk to as many people, get on the phone, in and off the phone, 15, 20 minutes, right? And then, but if you spend time with people on the phone and you actually go through a process, right, it really does help you be able to have better conversations, get deeper discounts, and get people to understand where you're coming from, right? At the end of the day, I feel like people are receiving my offers a lot better now, because we are actually making the offer a conversation, right? We're working through steps, and so they at least understand why they're at where they're at. And that was I took that. I really did take that from Jillian. She had this one guy. I forgot where he was. I want to say it was. I can't. It might have been Ohio or Indiana or something. She had. I can remember the call, because I remember her telling the person, "Well, hey, I think on this deal, when I plug it into my calculator, it's going to take like 50,000 worth of work, but the return is only going to be like $15,000, and we're putting out like 50,000 to only make 15 back. That's just not really going to be a fit for us." And I was like, I don't think he took it, but I just remember sitting there like, oh wow, I really like that. Like I really like how she explains to this person why they have to be where they're at. And I was just like, okay, I need to do that. So when I came into this and I looked up the AI scoring, I said, okay, where are the gaps, right? Like where do I need more explanation? Where do I need to spend some more time, and where can I pull from to pull together an actual call? So, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, I feel like this is obvious. If we're getting scored by AI and they give us the AI, the answers to the test, right? You should open up the answers and take a look at what they're scoring us on, and then you should be mirroring your call to what they're scoring on. So I don't know. I felt like that was pretty obvious, but it's been working.
Well, for a lot of people, I think, and this is the question too. So I just want to clarify the 100%. So this whole process, like you're looking at some parameters. By the way, I have one more question on that. But by looking at those parameters and making some adjustments, do you really think it helped? Or I know you're competitive. By the way, guys, being competitive is very important. Like there is a book, How to Never Hire a Bad Salesperson. Number one treat for great salesperson, they're competitive. If you're not competitive, guys, your chances to succeed are pretty low in sales, and everything is in life is sales. So like a lot of things. Okay, not all things, but a lot of things. But do you really think that it really helped you to do better on the phones, like, or just, and if yes, what? And if yes, here's a quick thing. Which one parameter maybe that you like looked and maybe you thought like, yeah, this one, if I can do good on this one all the time, it can probably be a big game changer? Or maybe it's couple.
Yeah, it's two. I'll tell you right now, there's two main parameters. Matter of fact, I have it up right here. Let me look at it's two main parameters, right? So so number one, I guess it was three actually. There's three main parameters. So the rapport and trust, the first category, right? I would just come in and be like, "Can I speak to so and so?" Yeah, call them about your property. Yeah, and I would just be like, "How much do you want for it?" Right? I still do that, right? But I picked up more points because I actually said, "Hey, hope I don't catch you at a bad time." Getting the asking permission. And honestly, I hated that at first. I'm like, I can't believe I got to do this. Right? I'm like to get these points, but I'm gonna do it, right? But then honestly, it really does help open up the call and create more of a friendly kind of environment. And I still do ask the price right away, for sure. But I do feel like it actually helped actually open up sellers a little bit because I'm not just on them, right? Before I would just be like, how much you want for your property, right? Like right out the gate and just hop on top of them. I feel like the hey, hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. I was actually just calling tonality as well. I was way more serious, so my tonality forced me like, hey, hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. I was just calling about that property on so and so 123 Main Street. And then I'd be like, yeah, how much you want for it? They tell me how much they want for it. And then I'm not going to tell you the exact other thing in the lead motivation because I mean, really, I just really go look at Caesar's calls and see how so in the lead motivation, I took some things from Caesar there to get them to open up about their motivation more. And then I started asking one specific question after to wrap all that up. I'm not going to tell you guys what that is because I do want to still win this. And I don't want you guys copying it yet, but there has been one question I noticed that when I started asking on the calls, my score started going up. So I'm like, I do have one question there. And then it's the pricing and negotiation. I think that was the biggest area where I picked up a lot more points because before, like I said, I would just come in and be like, this is my offer, right? And not really explain to them how I got to that. So then taking Jillian's method of really explaining to them in depth. So I think the three areas that I was able to pick up a lot more points was the tonality and the rapport building in the beginning of the call. The motivation side of things, I'm really digging a lot deeper into that now. And I can't give Caesar enough credit. I've said his name probably 1,000 times so far. I can't give him enough credit. I mean, this call that I listened to of him and how he got into these people's motivation. I mean, he tap danced around that hermit. He got in and out and got every little piece of. I was like, I was walking, listening to this call, and I'm like, this might be the best call I've ever listened to. Like, I actually was like, this might be the best call. I immediately came home and I wrote down like 3 or 4 things that he said, so I didn't forget it. And then I immediately implemented it, and then my scores started going up. And then I said, what can I do to do a better job to get the points in the pricing, right? On the pricing section, and really just explaining to them and making that a conversation. Before it would be a one-way street. Oh, okay. Here's what I'm seeing. How much work does it need? Okay, great. Investors, we typically buy at a discount. You want what? Hey, I'm actually going to be here. Most investors are going to be here. And that was my approach. But now it really is, right? It really is explaining to them. And there is another piece to the explanation. It's actually kind of twofold. Where I get some points in the price negotiation, and then another category, I kind of blend them together to make that thing. I'm going to leave the last category out, but I blend these two categories together to help educate my seller, but also because the thing that I'm realizing is like these people. I was watching an Eric Klein video. I'm like, these people don't know how much their house is worth, right? They just go on Zillow and they're like, hey, that's how much I want, right? They really don't know everything that goes into it, right? So I kind of blend the pricing and another category together, and I do them together, and it really helps educate the seller, and it really helps us stay like step by step by step to get to the offer.
What about the closing side? Like
on the closing side,
the closing and next steps category. Anything else you picked up there?
I mean, that's just really straightforward. If I can get them on the closing side, you know, you got your kill shot, the RJ Bates kill shots. If I pay all the realtor fees, commission, closing costs, what's the best you can do for me? You get that. And then it's just about going in for the deal, asking for the deal, right? If we have a deal, then we do it today, right?
This is the one I wanted to ask because I noticed a lot of people fail on creating sense of urgency. And I actually heard you were doing this on Sunday pretty well. And actually better than I heard you doing it before. And guys, there is a right balance. We're not saying like every call should be long, because I know there is the mentality like don't waste too much time. But here's the thing, I actually have the answer why you probably didn't like the way of this like opening, all that type of stuff, because you create the volume. Because guys, there are like two sides of this thing. Like when you do like hundreds of those all the time, and when you try to do like having like all this like nice rapport conversations and openings and all this time 100 times a day, that's very hard. I mean, that's very hard. That's where you're getting more robotic. And a lot of you, I hear like a lot of investors, like but you literally almost screwing up the lead because you just starting like really literally to be like almost like a lead VA. Like you just, oh, how much do you want? Oh, okay. Oh, I have this, blah, blah, blah. And we went on this. Okay. And okay, doesn't sound like I'll be a buyer. Bye-bye. You know, and that's it. So, and that's what you're not going to close a lot like this. That's I'm going to tell you, especially a lot of you who don't make a lot of calls. Like you cannot quit too fast. Hey, if you guys ask me, I think everybody like RG Bates style plus creating some sense of urgency, maybe not quitting too fast, that already can elevate a lot of people. Like giving still this offer, you know, signing this agreement, like sign it. Yeah, let me be serious. Again, you need to do it quick. If it takes you 1 hour to send the agreement, that's the problem. Okay, but you put it out there, right? It's there. You can create sense of urgency even in basic things. Hey, this thing is gonna expire in 14 days. I'm gonna call you back in 10. And if they don't want it, let's keep in touch. He'll talk to a couple of more investors who'll be less professional, and he might be warming up to you. Or maybe you call back in 10 days, they don't really remember you, but you can apply different exit strategy. But you wanna kind of be on their side and do those things. But that's why it's really important to find this right balance when we really try to close and use those tonalities. I know Eric Klein is actually heavier on that. He likes those words. Like, oh, I understand you're considering to sell. Like the way how he's on the phone switches to the way how he is like talking to his sales team is crazy. And again, I'm not comparing myself obviously, but I feel like I'm this type of guy a little bit too. Like with my team, like with people who I know, I'm gonna be sharp right away. With the sellers, if I need to call, if like with the clients, hey, it's consider, you know, and it's like more friendly. And again, still going straight to the point. I'm still trying to close. I'm still gonna create sense of urgency and do all the right things. But I think that was been one of the issues why it was hard for you, like the part that you mentioned. And sense of urgency, I think, is huge. I see most scores lack on sense of urgency. Like people kind of miss this thing all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And guys, for those of you who just don't know, it will be last shot. It's 1.5 hours, and we really appreciate Dawn. But if you guys don't know what we talk about, it's AI closing coach. So we have a competition right now, iSpeed Madness. So it's Sweet 16. We're actually looking who's gonna get to Elite 8, and Dawn is going against Tyler Osborne, who's gonna watch this video, pick some of your tricks, and maybe gonna kick your butt. So that's so we're gonna see if that happens.
At the end of the day, you know, I can give you the formula, but it really does come down to what you actually say on the phone. So
sure, yep.
You know, so you can pull up the thing. You can, you know, actually, you can go line by line and ask questions, but you know, the thing that I even learned in the first round is that even if you go line by line and ask the questions, it's still looking for certain things, right? And it's been an iterative process for me. So I kind of feel like I understand what the AI wants. I know what it's looking for in each one of the categories, and I have the script in my head. It's not written down. It's not anywhere. So good luck, Tyler. I hope you do. I mean, pull it up. Do your call. Go through the script. But
I understand it now.
some other thing.
Well, but that's the thing. I just want to make sure that this is why we did this. We did this to help people close better, to get ranked. And guys, this is AI closing coach. By the way, we talk about record score right now, and you can see there are different investors. And by the way, we're on the final round, so most of people are like in 7 and 8s. And just for you guys to know, if you are in 8 zone, it means that you're already considered really, really good. So if you're in the 8 zone, it means that you are already really good. It's like total, I think, 20 people who are in a zone with 8+ score. Again, it's from 1 to 10. If you guys are not familiar, let me quickly log in. Sorry. And an 8 score, you got just up to 20 people. And the previous high score was by Mr. RG Bates, who definitely didn't try to hit the high score. He just submitted one of his calls, and he had the score of 8.8. That's been the highest score that we got on the record here. Mr. RG Bates, not doing anything creative there, and I think he didn't actually explain MLO on his call as well. Let's just click it. It's fine. So for those who are watching, this is how our AI closing coach works. Almost all 10s, a little bit more here on explanation, like you mentioned. Nothing about creative because it wasn't really needed. And we got the new high score by Mr. Don Smith, the Novation Boss. And here is the 9 score, first ever 9 score on AI closing coach. So it's 9 score, and we really almost got it all, except the thing that actually I just said, urgency creation. So when you find what it wants, let us know. So because this is the only
that one. That one's been the harder one. I've tried multiple different things on that one, and I don't know. I really don't know why. That one's probably. Thing is, I've gotten some 9s on that. There's been some calls where I've gotten some 9s. I guess I got to go back and listen to those calls that one is always between 7 and 9. I don't think I've ever gotten a 10 on the urgency, to be honest.
Well, I need to actually check because urgency creation, I'm really huge on that, and I really want to check if actually somebody got 10. I might listen to the call. And guys, full disclosure, by the way, when I see really high score, I go and listen to the call. So because I just want to make sure it's like real call. We just got Kevin, and it doesn't have to be long calls too. We just got Kevin Fonteca. Hope I pronounced the last name right. Mr. Air Force, 8.4 10-minute call, 10 or 12 or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was 10 minutes.
And I really needed to go and listen. Like, is that a real call or it was something weird? No, it's a legit call. It's a legit call. I listen. I was like, yeah, that's a legit. Okay, that's a legit call. So you don't have to be. We don't say like, oh, you gotta like really click every checkbox and make it 2-hour conversation to really click the boxes. No. So the whole idea is, in the end of the day, for you guys to still close deals and to have a little bit more fun with this competition. And if you guys want to follow iSpeed Madness, the link will be in description. You also will be able to join our school community where you can connect with Don. You can also connect with him by connecting on his Instagram, First Life Don. And we're going to leave his information in description. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Hope it was productive. Any last comments you have?
So I've been thinking about this. I thought about this the other day when I was going for my morning walk with the dog. Because I'd actually like to be really interested in it. But for coupon clubbers, you should get all the 8+ scores and put them in a vault for people who have access to coupon clubs, so they can come in and listen to everybody's calls. So it's just another way. If you're just getting started and you're new, it could be another thing for new people to just get access to the vault. And if they just want to spend time listening to some of the top rated calls and how people do it, it could be another value add.
Well, that's the next thing. That's what I thought about actually, because I thought I already accumulated a lot of calls over the year. Actually, it's been a year now because we started with iSpeed Arena, right, where we went live and I would score manual. After that, we did 2 competitions so far, and I think each next one is kind of more fun. I know this one is a little bit more pressure than the previous one, because previously on Closers Ball was just, hey, submit a call and just see who get the highest. This one is literally people going against people, and some people just don't have time. I have circumstances that didn't show up right now. But there are some people who are very competitive. I mean, Derek Watts, by the way, I just posted. He was actually the one who asked me. And you guys, by the way, for those of you who watch, you can still submit your calls inside of our community, so you can send the calls to the same form like everybody. You're not part of competition, but I'm gonna score them. I score all calls, and you can ask, the breakdown. But Derek Watts actually, he'd been lucky in first 2 rounds. I think nobody showed up for his matchup, so he kind of cruised it. Or I think it was like very kind of not strong scores. But after the round 32, he actually asked me like, "Hey, what I could do? Send me all my notes, all my stats." And bro, he submitted like 10 calls, 5 of them were 8. I was like, and he's doing some of those, my understanding. He's actually call calling some people. So it tells me, and I'm gonna listen to that too. I started to confirm, okay, it's a legit call, but it also told me that he's probably call calling and making the offers on people, because it's no way you can call somebody and get high score, because that's, even though I say you can submit any lead, by the way, you don't have to call iSpeedToLead leads to submit your calls, but he is probably doing this on call, and that's what I believe. I'm a strong believer into go and freaking try to close everybody. Just close everybody. It doesn't matter. Oh, we need more time. Yeah, you might need a little bit more time on the phone, to warm up the seller, because you just call out of the blue and do some stuff. But I really strong believer in that. Obviously, time is the most underappreciated commodity, of course. But again, at the end of the day, guys, it's not about you guys closing a bunch of deals right away. It's you not screwing up on a good seller that is gonna be on your 3rd lead, 7th lead, 13th lead, 18th lead, 23rd lead, 31st lead. This is what it's all about. It's about you getting positive ROI on your spend of your money or time, and you not screwing up on the great opportunity that you're gonna get. And that's what will it go down to.
I mean, and that's just to speak shout out to Derek, because I mean, that's a part of this competition, right? It's like you're getting direct feedback on your calls, right? And then it's like you should be switching things up. So I mean, I think if anyone who wants to improve their scores, right, what we're being scored on, right? You know what you said on certain calls, and it's just about looking where the yellows are and then changing it up on the next call. And I mean, I think this is a good way for everyone to be able to up level, what they're doing on their calls, right? Because now you can really see, like, hey, all right, this is saying that it's a 6, right? Like, what can I say? Who can I pull for? And that's the best. They say, learning from other people's experience is the best way to learn something, right? Because then you don't have to make all the mistakes. And I think that's one of the things that helped me, is that I immediately, rather than me saying, how can I do it better, I looked at other people in the community and said, well, how are they doing it? And just pulled that directly in to into my calls. So hopefully I win this week. I know Tyler's really good, and he now has some of the formula. So maybe he'll come out and beat me. Maybe I have to go get a 9.5, which I think I have a couple. Because 3 of those calls that I sent, the 8.1 and the 2 8.2s, those were from previous weeks. I only uploaded enough to win, but I was sitting on 2 or 3 calls, and I was like, this is the week to throw them out. So when Tyler was beating me at first, I threw a bunch of my old calls in there, which got some 8s, and then that same day, I had that call with Leroy, and I got off the phone. I'm like, I know this is a good call. I know this is a good call.
Well, yep. Shout out to RG Bates, Caesar, and Jillian. You created the beast, and let's see who's gonna win. It's been great meeting you. I like every time we talk, you do so many things, you're in so many markets, and you really represent what I think great closer in this industry should be, utilizing iSpeedToLead, because I think ability to, like you mentioned, filter things, look at parameters, and be picky is possible mostly on iSpeedToLead with that volume. Because you mentioned, oh, how come this lead isn't purchased? I'm gonna tell you why. You know why? Because we have 30,000 leads right now on the marketplace. So that's a lot. We don't say all of them are great. We're not gonna say that you need to buy all of them, but us having such a huge volume allows you guys to be wide and picky. So it's just as simple as that. It's been nice to see you guys. Connect with Don. Go to our free resources in the description below, and we're gonna see you soon. Take care.
See you soon. Have a good one. Thank you.